Hey guys, how's it going? I am doing a yoga class today instead of dance, and I'm basically going to do like kind of a double one, so we won't have one next week, we'll do a double one this week. And the reason why is because, let me explain. So you guys have been, for those of you that have been following along, you've been working really hard. I know last class we definitely turned it up a notch. I mean, we do every time, right? But you've definitely been learning a lot and you've been progressing, and last week's flow was definitely a faster pace, more advanced even than we're used to, I'm sure. So being that you guys are all new, I'm sure that's the case. So because of that, I think that it's only fair to kind of give you guys a little bit of a break. And what I mean by that is not at all to take a break mentally or at how present you are, I guess, but kind of less sweat and effort and muscles involved, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do today is something called Yin Yoga, which is probably what a lot of you guys have in mind when you think about yoga. It's a lot of really slow stretching and breathing, and basically the asanas, which is, the asana is a word that describes the practice itself. So the asana is the postures and the sequence of postures. So the asanas that we've been practicing are a vinyasa style, which is like kind of like a choreographed dance almost. You know how we kind of go 1 and 2 and 3, and it's really flowy and we're always moving, and it's can be fast, and we can get a lot of sweat, and yeah, it's just a little bit more difficult, fast-paced, I guess. Yin is the opposite. Instead of being the idea of transitioning between postures, which is pretty much what vinyasa is, this is a focus on the actual postures themselves, and these ones specifically are designed to get you deeper into them. So for example, for those of you that are my dancers, when I talk about getting in a comfortable position to make your splits go farther, this is what we're doing. So we're taking these poses, and there's only a certain number of them per class, and it's like a 3-minute long hold. So if you're like me and you're always really fast-paced, go, 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 and you got a lot going on in your mind and stuff, this might be a little even more difficult for you than the other stuff, because for me, I like vinyasa because I like to be moving all the time. And when I do yin, when I was doing my teacher training, we were doing yin, that was the one thing that I was like, I gotta get out of here. I don't think I'm gonna get through this, because I want to move. So it's a good thing though. It's a good challenge. If there's something that you have an aversion to, which means that you don't want to do or you don't like, then those are probably the things that you should try and incorporate even more. Because it just means it's something you need to work on to make yourself a more well-rounded person. So I'm definitely going to be doing some yin myself more. So we'll be doing that. So it's going to be a much slower paced, controlled breath work and stretching and all that kind of hoo-ha that you may have in mind already for yoga. But what I'm going to do is, because these poses last 3 minutes long, it's going to be a longer class, right? So it's going to be a longer class. And not only that, but I did want to go over some of the stuff that we have been learning already. Okay, so there's a bird out there. I thought it was a puppy. It scared me. I got really excited. Also, I wanted to check in how you guys are doing or have been doing for your coping skills. I know last time we talked about the act of, I can't remember now, doing the opposite action, distractions. Oh, changing your environment, that's what it was, changing your environment. So I was wondering if you guys tried that, or if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you didn't understand it, I would like to know. I have an example of a time that I used that this past week was I had a group of my friends outside that were doing some art stuff. And I know that we need to be social distancing, right? So that, is already helpful, I guess, if you have social anxiety, like I sometimes have, like we all sometimes have. But that was kind of my excuse for not going out and hanging out with them, because I was just like, we've been cooped up for so long, isolated all by ourselves pretty much, throughout this whole thing, that social interaction seems like completely new, right? Completely foreign. And so I was going back into being around people was kind of nerve-wracking for some reason. And so I was using the social distancing thing as like a excuse to be like, well, I can't go out in public, I can't socialize because of this. But that's not always the case, right? We actually kind of, we need to go to the grocery store, we need to do those things. And I have just noticed in my own self, when I do those things, when I go to the grocery store, interacting with people, I'm so rusty. I'm so out of practice because it's been so long since I actually have been social, right? Oh, excuse me. But what I did was, again, talking about the opposite action, I just made myself do it. And what I did was I was like, okay, I was inside and I was stressing out over it. And so I started painting or working on my headpiece or something like that, and just distracted myself. So I could get to a thing that I enjoyed. I wasn't completely doing the exact opposite of what I should do and just being like, I could have been like, oh my God, I'm anxious and I'm upset with myself that I feel this way, so I'm just going to curl up in bed and be miserable the rest of the day. I definitely could have done that, but why would I want to do that, right? Like 2 hours into that, you're like, okay, I'm so bored, I just want to cry. It's not a good thing. So I started painting, and at least that way I was being productive. And so that little step was good enough right there. And because I was doing that and I was distracting myself and I allowed myself to be okay with just doing that, I eventually became, I had the thought, oh yeah, there's people outside. And then I was already in my zone and feeling like myself, my genuine self. And so I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And without any hesitation, without any other thought, I just went outside and did it. Because when you overthink things too much, right, you talk yourself out of everything. You're like, well, what am I going to say? What are they going to do? And again, these are my friends, right? So I got out there and there was nothing to worry about. And not only was there nothing for me to worry about, I think that other people are going through the same thing. We're all people. We're all humans. And so what separates us doesn't necessarily have anything to do with certain, what am I trying to say? You might think you have depression or you have anxiety or something like that, but in reality, it's more of like a spectrum. Everybody experiences a little bit here and there. So it doesn't matter how often or how hardcore you feel it, because sometimes other people that don't normally feel it. And it happens at those moments. So we all still feel it, and so we all still experience it, right? So, and then that goes for not only me, but every other human being. And so I had to keep that in mind too, because I'm like, well, if I'm nervous about this, then maybe they are too, especially because we've all been cooped up for the virus. We've all been having to stay at home. I don't know why I keep yawning. I'm sorry. I'm having a great time. But yeah, just keep that in mind. And, the truth is, someday this will click. And I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times, but it didn't click for me for a really long time. But the truth is, everybody's concerned about themselves. Everybody's concerned about themselves. If you're worried about yourself looking foolish, they're probably thinking the exact same thing. Again, we are all humans. We all have similar thoughts on a spectrum, right? So you might as well go into a situation. You and yourself are like BFFs. You guys can hang out all day long, and you know that you're pretty cool, right? I bet you do. The reason I think that is because I do the same thing. Again, we're all humans. So you might as well go into it with that energy of like knowing how cool you are, because people only take from the interactions what you give to them. So if you go into it feeling timid and stuff, that might come across. Might not though, because again, everybody's only focused on themselves anyways. But the point is, just know that. Know that everybody's in the same boat. No one's better than anyone else. You can go out, you can just be yourself and just exist as a human being, and that's good enough. Not only is it good enough, but people enjoy it. Everything that you think is just a small little thing that you did right is like way cooler than you even think. If you make someone laugh during an interaction, they're going to remember you as like that girl that made you laugh, that guy that made you laugh. If you just stand there and you're polite and people can tell that you're present with them and you're listening, you're going to be remembered that way. You know, that goes a very long way. So think about that. And I hope that your interactions with everybody go really well. And that you don't overthink yourself because you're the bomb. Don't you forget it. Anyways, okay, let's get to it. So I think what we're going to do today is like I said, I don't like yin yoga very much normally. So I'm going to follow a video and you guys can follow me. And because the way that this girl does it in the video is different than a lot of the things that I do. So I'll be learning from her and you'll watch me learning. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys, if that makes any sense, but I'll just be here to kind of guide you whenever needed. So with that being said, let's get to some yin yoga.
Alright, friends, we're going to get started today. If you see a position on your mat, just maybe close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Also keep your hands distance forward. Keep your eyes closed, just take a deep breath in into your lungs, into your belly. And then exhale, let it go. Inhale one more time. And exhale, let's this moment take both of your arms and reach forward, releasing yourself into your chest close. Resting forward and onto the mat. You can sustain here or take your arms next to the side of your body. Just stay gentle. As move, let go of your back. Let go of your entire body. Be gentle with yourself. Opening yourself up to vulnerability, the acceptance of being exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Take another deep breath into your nose and exhale, let it go. Inhale, gently release out of your lower back and your shoulders. Give yourself permission to let your body release. Taking this opportunity right now to center your mind, to find and reconnect with your breath, finding the stillness and the presence of your mind and your body. So take another deep breath in, breathing into your lower back, into your mid back, and then up to your upper back. And your exhalation, allowing any tension you may feel in your back, slowly release and melt away to the ground. Give yourself permission to let go at this time. Not only physically in your body's particular posture, but also mentally. Let go of those thoughts. Let go of any worries, any situations you may be facing right now. Simply give yourself permission to just be with yourself on this mat. We're going to do different postures that are going to bring so much benefit to your body. If your eyes closed, just continue to visualize that tension melting away. If you'd like to reposition your arms, you're more than welcome to do so. This is extending forward, keeping the eyes to the side of your body. Just let go. Deep breath in and exhale out. Taking this as opportunity to listen to intention, as this time you was to spend with yourself on the mat. Setting an intention to let go, to be present, to give your body the opportunity to let go of the muscular and energetic tension you may be holding within your joints, the myofascia, your muscles. Give yourself permission to exhale all that no longer serves you today. Alright, now we're slowly going to come on out, so let's start by lifting your head up and then your body, and then coming to seated position as we draw our arms up to the sky, stretch. Exhale, arm body forward, coming up to all fours positions, come to your toes under, and now slowly begin to push and press yourself up into your downward facing dog. You're going to keep your feet apart, also your hands around your fingers open. Just give yourself a little bit here, we'll walk out your gentle dog. And doing one at a time, pressing the opposite heel closer towards the floor to really start to release any tension out of the back of your legs. Take a deep breath in. Now exhale, begin to walk forward with both of your feet until you reach the front of your mat. Come on, just extending, reaching both arms up to the sky. Exhale, release it down, bend your knees, and come on over to a seated position on your mat with your feet flexed together. Let's reach one heart and touch the sky. And then rinse exhalation coming forward into a seated head to toe forward fold. See the ground underneath your knees as you feel okay. Or you can come over and grab your ankles. Or you can go even deeper if your body allows you to do so. And simply release your body all the way forward and grab your opposite wrist. Again, just feel it out. See what feels best for the body in this moment. We're going to stay in this position for another 3 minutes here. And again, this is our opportunity right now to not only let go of the tension in the body, but also bring ourselves into the present moment. The mind constantly wants to either think about the future or go over about what happened in the past. So our challenge today through these postures is to not only let go of the body, but also bring your mind into this moment right now. And the way we can do this, and the way we can bring this presence into our reality, is to focus all of our attention on the simple movement of your breath. So as you stay, you're taking a deep breath into the nose, and as you exhale, let go out of your mouth, nose, whatever feels comfortable. And with this exhalation, evenly visualizing your body, letting go. Inhale into the nose. Exhale, let it go. Just feel yourself melting into the ground. The beautiful thing about this visualization is that it actually allows us to signal the body to relax. When we're able to relax the body, we are then able to go deeper into the myofascia to release any tension, stiffness out of the muscles and joints. So breathe. Be with me here, with your breath. Let go whatever holds you down in life. The insecurities, judgments, fears, all of that negative energy. Make a decision right now to let it melt out of your body, out of your mind, with each exhalation. Inhale and exhale. And then with each inhalation, visualizing the welcoming positive radiant energy into your body, into every cell of your being. And welcoming this energy, your wonderful thoughts of gratitude, peace, and love. Beautiful. Now, slowly we're going to release. So go ahead, take your time, don't rush. Your body's going to feel a little on the floor here. And once you're up, reach both arms up to the sky, cross your ankles in front of you. Transition yourself back into downward facing dog. So you come into plank, and then come up into down dog. Now keep your hips square. Lift your right leg off the mat to downward plank. Then point your toes, then bend the knee. And then from here, come into our pigeon pose. Bring back into towards your jiggle. Releasing your shin onto the mat. As this is too much, you can always take a pillow or a block and sit underneath your hand. And then slowly from here, you can either stay upright and feel that deep stretch. You can come down or onto your elbows. Stay there. And again, slowly transition to these levels once your body starts to let go. And the final level to come down to a deep stretch in this pigeon pose is to actually take your entire chest all the way down. So you can stay here. I want to show you one more variation that anyone that's more advanced would like to go deeper and take. So take this variation and come up and down the back knee. Grab your back ankle. You can just stay here and gently breathe, pulling that heel closer towards your glute. So depending on how long you can stay there, just see how your body does here. Maybe some of you will be comfortable with 3 minutes, or maybe with 30 seconds to 1 minute. Whatever it is, just feel that deep release through the quadricep. And if you'd like to come back down again, go ahead and do so like myself. So I'm giving you a couple of variations here today in our pigeon pose to be a little bit more creative. Even though the last variation I showed you is not a traditional new posture, it doesn't mean it doesn't bring us great benefit if we hold it. So be playful. Feel free to break the rules a little bit from time to time. And really give yourself permission to explore your body, to find all the incredible ways you can challenge yourself with so that you are always continuing to progress your practice and your personal evolution of your strength and your well-being. So whichever version you're doing right now, I want you to find that stillness and presence within yourself. I want you to find that. And I want you to really be conscious of all these experiences that are happening within you. Noticing where you're feeling that tension in the body. With each breath, bringing that awareness to that particular spot and letting it go. Notice if you feel any emotional reactions in this posture. This is very normal to feel sad or feel very frustrated and have that emotion intensify when you get into these really deep releasing yoga asanas. Our body is so unique that it can actually store energy within the muscles in different areas of the body. So when we go deep, sometimes we can trigger not only a physical release, but also a mental and emotional release as well. So take another deep breath in, and then a long exhalation out as you slowly begin to come out of your posture. Well done. Come up, tuck your toes up underneath, press into the floor, and step back into your downward facing dog. Really free and just walk out. You're going to be a little sore in your legs, so do whatever you gotta do to feel ready. And then once you're ready to start, you're letting go ahead and down the out to your left leg up to the sky, right out, open your legs. Bring your toes up underneath, and then bring your tail out the left into your left thumb. Try to get that shoulder off onto the right. Walk your back for all the way back. And again, notice if you need a muscle or on the left, really go ahead and take your pillow, and place underneath the leg. Come on down to your elbows, down, lift your chest here if you like to take that variation. Or of course, if you remember, you could also take it one step further by bending your back knee and beginning to fall the heel towards your glute. What I would do is actually place the toes right in my elbow crease so that I can just start to relax the arm. And again, this might not be a posture you can hold for penises comfortably, just to see if you can stay for 30 seconds to a minute. Whatever you can to really get deep into that quadricep. Then whenever you've had enough, you can release and simply come down with your body. So into this lunging posture, we are working with a couple different variations to give you the opportunity to explore the body in a different way. So to allow you to get areas where you feel that tension. Go deep within. Being aware that this may trigger an emotion releases. Maybe reactions, frustrations, sadness, maybe anger. Whatever emotions decides to arise, remember to not suppress it, to not hold it back, to not question it. Don't worry if the meaning of it arises from you. Simply understand that it's energy that needs to be released out of your body and energy. So give yourself permission to release it. Know that you are in a safe space. No judgments around you. No one's watching you. This is your moment to be with yourself and to truly let go physically, emotionally, and spiritually of all that no longer serves you. Let the negativity go. Let the worry go. Let the stress go. Let the fear of the future go. Know that everything is exactly where it needs to be. And that no matter where you are in life, good or bad, whether you are in a difficult place in your life, or things are going smoothly already, realize that everything is an ebb and flow, everything comes and goes. Any challenges will pass. We will continue to grow and move forward in this beautiful journey of life and human experience. So take another deep breath in, and then exhale out as you slowly bring your body back up. Ground the hands on the floor, and take the down facing just lock your eyes to stop. Relax, this is good for you. Just walk it out. Take it down facing dog one more time. Inhale. Exhale and walk your feet up the middle of your mat. And slide to turn the side so you have the width of your mat to work with here. Inhale. And exhale, bring both down onto your mat and just start to walk both down. We're going to keep these effective and not to deep into the breathing ankles. So just do a quick check. And then slowly from here start to bring our elbows down. So this is called your forearm pose. And what we're doing here is going really deep into those hips. So settle into this posture. We're going to start with 3 minutes here. And what you want to make sure is that your hips are not too far forward or too far back. So if you were to look over your shoulder, you should see your thigh aligned with your hip, and the knee is bent at a 90-degree angle, and your both feet are flexed. Now once you've got your head spot here, keep your weight on the elbows, or if you're comfortable to go even further down, you can always come down with your chest to the floor, depending on your level. Because this is again an opportunity for us to come back to the breath. This goes really deep into the hips, and it's going to trigger not only a physical release, but again, we're going deep into that energy, into the psoas, into the seat of the soul. And what happens here is we're triggering a lot of emotions, a lot of pent-up negative energy that can be stored in our hips, a lot of fears, a lot of worries. So energetically, energetically, we're giving yourself permission to let go of all that no longer serves us. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Long exhalation out. Notice where you're tightening the muscles where you feel that resistance. When you become aware of resistance, with that awareness, welcome relaxation. By relaxing the body, you're going to give your muscles an opportunity to lie down, which with time will begin to increase flexibility in your body and your hips. So stay with the breath. Inhale and exhale. Remember to recognize the differences between breathing and having, especially in yoga. So if you're feeling any sort of electrical charge to your face, that may be a way your body is signaling that you're a little too far. So if you're beginning to experience anxiety or beginning to massage please slowly come up a little higher, or maybe to take a break, or not hold this for 3 minutes. Each of us has their own personal experience and their own personal practice. So please listen to your own body. You can know when it's time to let go, the time to push forward.
You can keep going. It's fine.
One more deep breath into your nose. And then exhale, you're slowly going to come out now. So bring your hands up, push your body out, and slowly and gently your knees are going to come together. You're just going to set yourself up, still facing the same side of your mat. Opening the legs out as wide as you're comfortable, flexing your feet. Inhale, and exhale, walk your hands forward. So again, we're going deep into the hips, a slightly different way now. So, or you can stay on your elbows, or you can also use them across your pillows or bolsters. The goal of this posture here is to find a somewhat comfortable position. And by comfortable, a posture where you can relax your body into it. So there shouldn't be any tension, any forcing of anything here. Open up those legs, your knees should point out to the sky. Just let your body relax. Breathing deeply and exhaling. Don't worry how open your legs are. Do whatever you can for yourself right now in this moment. You know that with time, with dedication, with patience, your body will let go. Flexibility will come to you. Tension will release. You will be able to progress and evolve yourself further and further. Truly believe it. Be patient with your body. Be patient with your mind. Be loving with yourself. Come back to that intention that we had at the beginning of our class. With that exhalation, visualizing yourself letting go of tension, negativity, of any lower frequency that drags you down, whether that's thoughts, beliefs, or actions. Let it go. Your choice right now is to take a breath in. With your exhalation, you're going to let go of all negative habits and habits that no longer serve you. Help you become the best version of yourself. Take a deep breath in. And exhale and let it go. Great, now one more deep breath in into your nose. We're almost done here. Long exhalation out as we slowly bring yourself up. As you come up, just bring your legs together. Go ahead and just turn the legs to facing the really nice. Turn your legs into a little shake. Walk forward, reach your arms forward. And then slowly lower your spine down one time. Just turning the back over to our high posture. Everybody's favorite shavasana. Open the palms of your hands so they're facing towards the sky. Closing your eyes. And this time, welcome complete relaxation of the entire body. Bring your awareness to your face first. Allow your attention to the breath. Allow your eyes to feel heavy. Relaxing your jaw. Letting go of your tension. Your shoulders, feel your shoulders open and relax into the floor. Feeling your arms heavy by your side. Feeling a gentle movement out of your chest, up and down, as you breathe gently and slowly. Feel your belly rise and fall. Exhalation, you're surrendering deeper and deeper into the belly. You're surrendering to the floor underneath the belly. Surrendering to the earth underneath the floor. Letting go of your thighs, your knees, your calves, and your feet. Entire body is relaxed. Inhale and exhale. Just stay with your breath. Let go of the body. Let go of the thoughts. Simply enjoy this peace and presence that is within you and all around you. Inhale and exhale. Now gently just begin to bring that awareness to your breath. Bring your awareness to your heart. Then once you're ready, you can slowly start to move your body. Eventually bend your knees and rolling over to one side into your fetal position. Taking a deep breath in. Whenever you're ready, coming up to your seated position on your mat, crossing your feet in front of you. Sit upright. Feel free to close your eyes again. Just stay in these processes. Fixing the palms of your hands onto your knees. And have your palms facing up to the sky. Just take a couple of 5 breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. Let it go. As you take the palms of your hands, just bring them together around you in your drum. Thank yourself for your beautiful practice today, for finding the time in your day and doing something good for your body, for your mind, and for your inner being. Stand you well and night. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to click that subscribe button so you can always up to date on our video classes. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
How'd we do? Yeah, that was definitely much needed for me and hopefully for you guys too. I mean, hopefully you're not suffering or anything like that, but hopefully it was beneficial. I'll say that. Yeah, I think that was a really good one. As far as like surrendering and letting go, you know, she talked a lot about worrying about the future. And especially with like these uncertain times, as they always say, I think that's definitely something we should be focused on. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear what you guys had experienced, if anybody else had an experience like I just had, which was release. I'm dealing with a loss right now, and as I'm sure a lot of people are, maybe you guys too even. And surrendering the negative emotions that are associated with a negative thought, a negative feeling, is the only way to create space for positivity to come in. And we don't need to know what that looks like, right? Like I'm sad, you know, this is just a made up example, but maybe I'm sad that my best friend moved away. And I think that the only way to fix that is to get a new best friend, but that's not necessarily what I want or need. Maybe that person filled a spot in my heart, but it wasn't the fact that she was my best friend or he was my best friend that is what's missing. It's something else. So we don't need to know what it is that we're trying to fill, that hole that we're trying to fill. You just need to know that it is going to be okay, because and this is such a great practice for that reason too, because she talks a lot about like knowing that your stretches will happen. Like if you surrender and your body will open up, that's like scientific fact, rather than just being like, I know I'm going to be a superstar someday. Well, you don't have science to prove that, you know. You can totally live that way, and I highly suggest that you do, but this is the knowledge that things will work themselves out. Your life is going on, bottom line. So I hope that went well for you guys. I really liked that. I don't know how often we'll do those, because they do get exhausting after a while, but I think we will do more of them. We'll do some of each different style. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon, or you will see me soon, I guess. Bye.